The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you on Fantasy. Underdog has a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $50 in bonus funds when you sign up for Fantasy with the promo code SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Saturday night, or technically early morning, actually, Friday night, Saturday morning, August 16th, around 1:40 a.m. Eastern. Not on the East Coast, though, because I am in Vegas right now in the Circa hotel room. Fun fact, not my room. I actually borrowed Adam Rosenberg, host of the MLB show, ended up borrowing his room as he's downstairs at the bar. But either way, he loaned me the room. I hijacked it, however you want to phrase it, and I'm here to record tennis. Been a while. Good to be back. Apologies, I've not been around much for the last couple of days, but we're back finally to get into the semis here in Cincinnati for the two matches taking place on Saturday. Before we get into the actual breakdown of the two matches taking place on Saturday, a reminder that you can also support the show by subscribing on YouTube, and a reminder, leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple. Plus, reminder, podcast is also available on YouTube, obviously, with live streaming platform stuff, as well as the Twitter simulcast on SGPN, so check that out as well. Plus, a reminder, we have some great merch on the merch store for tennis. We have some shirts, we have sweatshirts, we have mugs. We also have other SGP merchandise, like, for example, this polo, if you want to look at that. You also have shows for other with the network that have merchandise as well, MLB show, NBA show, you name it. But check out the merch store for, once again, a lot of great content. Plus, a reminder, we have the app, the SGPN app, free to download. All of our picks and podcasts in one easy location. Down wherever you do get your apps. Anyway, starting off with the recap, the long overdue recap of the final in Toronto. Not going to recap it in terms of how the match played out, but still for the lock and dog. Ended up sweeping. We had Shelton minus 1.5 games against Kashanov, and we had the Shelton money line with the team total over at 12.5 as an SGP at plus 100. It was a marathon, went to a final set breaker, and Shelton got the job done. Nice sweep there for the final in Toronto. However, for the first round in Cincy, not good. Did go 0-2. We had two parlays, didn't work out. We had Arnaldi money line with Opelka money line, minus 137. Arnaldi had a brutal returning display against Bonzi. Think he went 0 for 11 on breakpoint chances, 0 for 10. He won the first set, fell apart, and he ended up losing outright. Goffin also no-showed his match against Baez, as we had him parlayed with Fonseca, plus 106. Goffin seemed to be battling a foot injury, and nobody really knew about it, but he couldn't really move, and you saw Baez destroy him in straight sets. So the injuries didn't exactly work in our favor there. Either way, though, ended up sweeping Toronto in the final. Did lose the two picks for the first round of Cincinnati, but we're back here for the semis. Should be fun. Now, check in the comments section. I see a couple of people stopping by, uneducated stopping by. Sorry I interrupted your Asian street food. That sounds pretty fun, too. See John stopping by. What's up, guys? Nice to see you. And looking at the recap of the quarters. Now, it was a pretty weird schedule because they had two quarterfinal matches and a round of 16 match on Thursday, and then Friday you had two quarterfinal matchups. So for the matchups on Thursday, pretty ugly. I'll put it that way. So you had three matches. Once again, two of them were in the quarters, and it didn't matter. All of them ended in straight sets. Sinner destroyed Felix, won first set via bagel, and he won the second set 6-2. Felix held serve one time in the entire match. One damn time. Sinner killed him. Match was over quickly. Nothing else to add. Match took about an hour and 30. Then you ended up seeing Ottman, who's been on a dream run, beating Kaboli, beating Fritz, beating Rune, and he won 6-2, 6-3. So pretty underwhelming in terms of drama on Thursday for the quarterfinal matchups, but we had a bit more drama on Friday. So for Friday, we had a marathon between Rublev and Alcaraz. Alcaraz won the first set, Rublev won the second set, and then eventually Alcaraz was serving for the match in the third set. He choked it, Rublev broke back, then Rublev eventually held, but Alcaraz forced a deuce in the 5-6 return game, and Rublev double faulted on match point to lose. So fun matchup. Alcaraz did end up winning. Definitely a drama-filled match, but not exactly the clutchest serving by Rublev down the stretch as he eventually double faulted away the match. Nice job by Alcaraz, though, to get the job done despite not playing that well. And now we have a pretty fun collection of matchups for Saturday. One very big favorite. The other one should be very, very close. But either way, Alcaraz got the job done as he was able to beat Rublev in a 3-set thriller. And you had a massive dud to end the card on Friday as Zverev beat Shelton 6-2, 6-2. It was not even close. Shelton won the first game, then proceeded to lose 12 of the last 13 games. Ouch. It was actually 12 of the last. Yeah, the point is he got destroyed. I got nothing else to add. He ended up winning 12 of the last. I meant to say 15 games, but still. Point is, Shelton seemed to be out of gas. He hit a wall and eventually got buried. Shelton's first serve was down in terms of speed to about 120, 125 or so. And we know that he can hit 140 on occasion, too. So it seemed like Shelton just ran out of gas and Zverev dominated, did not get broken. He ended up only facing one breakpoint entire match. Shelton faced 11 by comparison. But a very, very ugly match, and mainly because Shelton was either injured, tired, or just playing badly. Either way, though, that match sucked, and Zverev killed him. So if you had Zverev, it was easy for you. You had Shelton, you kind of just rage quit early in the matchup. But either way, point is, at least we had one drama-filled match there, a 7-5 in the third set, but the other three quarterfinal matchups were very lopsided. Hopefully, we have some drama here on Saturday. Now, nothing else to really add there. I'll get into the women's recap quickly, just mentioning some of the matches that happened today. Swiatek ended up beating Kalinskaya in straight sets. Saw Rybakina destroy Sabalenka. Sabalenka got torched, 6-1, 6-4, so definitely a nice job by Rybakina. Thought maybe she might choke it away, but it seemed like every time Sabalenka had a break point, Rybakina hit an ace. And that's kind of what happened there in the 4-3 service game. 2 break points, 2 big serves, and Sabalenka rolled over in the last game, and Rybakina ended up holding. You saw Kudermetova beat Gracheva 6-1, 6-2 in the ugliest match of the day. And then you had a really ugly serving display by Paolini and Goff, but Paolini won as Goff hit a grand total of 16 double faults. Goff really can serve. It's impressive that she's won 2 Grand Slams, one on hard court in the U.S. Open, despite not having a good serve at all. But 16 double faults sounds about right. We know Paolini is not an ace person. She had 0. Goff had 2. So you had a combined 2 aces and 18 double faults. Ouch. Goff ended up winning 21% of her second serve points. 21%. Number 3 player in the world. Or top 2 in the world. Ouch. Once again, she's got to work on the serve. That's the main flaw in her game right now. But pretty much no real drama there. Paolini, though, did a good job coming back from a set down as she won in 3. That was basically it. Not too much else to add there. We'll see what happens moving forward. But it's been pretty chalky for the men's and the women's. Yes, I know that Goff did lose. Paolini, though, we know is still a solid player in the top 10. But you have Swiatek, who, of course, is top 3 in the world. Rybakina is top 10, but of course she's viewed as being one of the favorites in most hardcourt events. And for the men's side, you have a Cinderella of dreams here with Ottman, who ranks 136 in the world as a qualifier, who's going on a Chorich run here in Cincinnati. You have Sinner, number 1, Alcaraz, who is number 2, and Zverev, who is number 3. So, been quite chalky I'd say for the most part for men's and women's, mainly for the men, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But as a reminder for the outright episode, we did have a couple outrights for the event, and what do you know, we went pure chalk. We took Sinner at plus 120 and Alcaraz at plus 270. So, Sinner, look, I'll mention that match in a second. He's about minus 2,000. You feel pretty good about Sinner at plus 120 making the final. Alcaraz, we'll see. He's favored against Zverev, but still, we went chalky. We ignored all the outrights, and with the exception of Ottman going on, just an absurd 2-match streak here, either against Sinner and then Alcaraz or Zverev. We're looking pretty good unless Zverev runs the table, but the point is we have 2 of the 4 people that are left, and the favorite, the best hardcore player in the world, is minus 2,000 in the semis. So I feel good about our outright bets. We'll see if we can cash those moving forward, but still, either way, though, time to move on into the breakdown of the matchups for Saturday. Before we get into the actual breakdown of the matchups, though, a reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is MyBookie.ag. Because you can bet a bunch of sports with them. They have baseball, they have WNBA, they have golf, and of course, full futures. You can use it for a ton of occasions. Use crypto for deposits and payouts. And when you actually use the promo code SGPN, when you sign up for your new account, get 100% off matchup to 1K. Term conditions apply with the G promo code SGPN. We're also sponsored by Rhythm because they have power trends, which are now called Smart Signals, been crushing in WNBA. I believe I went 4-1 back in the power trends tonight. But for the Smart Signals, they've been very good at baseball and WNBA. So for baseball, on some sort of player prop unders, they've been really good. Mike Trout and Giancarlo Stanton. When you see a Smart Signal pop up on an under, 14-0 on their unders. WNBA in July, The Smart Signals won 97-65, and they've been really good in August as well. So recommend checking that out. And a reminder, download the app, check out Smart Signals, and also we have a free trial promotional link with Rhythm. If you use SportsGamblingCom's Rhythm, you get a 7-day free trial. Once again, SportsGamblingCom's Rhythm to get your 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the recap of the quarters. Time to move on into the breakdown of the semis taking place on Saturday. So, for the first match, you have what should be a bloodbath on paper at 3 p.m. Eastern. You have Sinner against Ottman. Now, Sinner's about minus 2,000. Ottman's around 10-1, 12-1, give or take. For the spread, you have Ottman plus 5.5 games at minus 132. You have Sinner minus 5.5 at plus 112. Over-under is around 19.5. Team total, you have Sinner team total under 12.5 at around minus 130. The over is around plus 110. For the Ottman, it's at 7.5. Basically the same price over and under. Set spread, Sinner straight sets minus 350. Ottman to win a set is plus 250. The over 2.5 sets is around plus 300. Now, they never faced off before. We know Sinner's been amazing so far. He won the title last year. However, unlike last year, significantly less drama after winning Wimbledon. Took some time off, came back, has not dropped a set yet. Beat Galan in straight sets, beat Diallo in straight sets, with fighting off a set point there in the second set breaker. Beat Manarino in a breaker as well, but he won that one straight sets and beat Felix, only once again letting Felix hold one time in the entire match. So that was easily the best performance that Sinner's had in the event. But the point is, Sinner is once again a massive favorite. Ottman is on the dream run. He is a qualifier, beat Jessica, beat Nishioka, beat Kaboli in a third set breaker, beat Fonseca in straight sets, beat Fritz in 3, and beat Rune in straight sets. So Ottman's been beating a bunch of really good players. So once again, not going to claim it's a fluke, a guy who had a very lucky draw. No, he's beating good players. I will give respect where it's due for Ottman. He's been a player that's been struggling most of the season, high upside, young Frenchman, and he's finally piecing some stuff together. Now, do I think it's going to help him this match? No. I'm sorry to rain on everyone's parade. I'm not picking Ottman to beat Sinner. I think Sinner is the best player in the world by far. I think he's an all-time great hardcore player. The issue that SF, once again, brings up Sinner being 2-0, it's minus 350. So you have to get creative. It's either you pick Sinner to absolutely demolish the guy, or you pick Ottman to hang in there. Now, there is a way you can, in theory, get both, which is Sinner winning straight sets, but Ottman does cover the 5.5. You can get a 6-3, 6-4, straightforward, break per set, give or take, and Sinner wins easily, and yet he still doesn't cover. So there is a world where Ottman does keep it respectable, still loses, but still ends up having a respectable showing en route to a semifinal elimination. So, look, I'm not going to make a case for Ottman. I think it's a fun story. I think it's a fun, once again, I'd say angle if you want to take a long shot on it. Do I think it's a donation? Yes. Sinner's going to win. I mean, Sinner is the best hardcore player I've seen since probably prime Djokovic. He's just an absolute world beater. He hits the ball harder than everyone. He's more accurate than everybody. You can't touch him. Felix was a lost cause. I know Felix we like to laugh at because he's been a pretty big underachiever in his career. At the same point, when Sinner's hitting every return off the baseline, what are you supposed to do? Sinner put his best foot forward in the last round after having a couple of dicey sets against Diallo and Manarino, and the argument could be made that Ottman, as a Frenchman, can maybe try to copy Manarino's style, trying to find a way into a deep set. I don't see it. I think Sinner found his rhythm in that matchup on Friday. I think he rolls personally. I understand the argument being that Ottman can be a guy who you don't want to fade based on his form in the event. If you want to take the games of 5.5, maybe the team total over, I'm not going to make an argument for it. If Sinner wins one set, 6-1, and just blitzes the guy, you're kind of screwed. Because for suddenly, if you could take 7.5 and he gets buried in a set, suddenly you need him to win a set. Same with the spread. So I'm not going to go with that. I think Sinner has the game and the consistency to outlast Ottman, to overpower him. And the fact is, Ottman's second serve has been quite weak. Even beating Rune, he only won 40% of his second serve points. So we know Sinner's a great returner, and I do think after breaking Felix repeatedly on Friday, there might be a lot of breakpoint chances for Sinner. And by comparison, Ottman to record a single break, one break in the entire match, is plus money. So he's going to need to probably break at least once to actually keep this somewhat close. If Sinner holds every time, he's coasting. I don't trust Altman's serve enough to actually hold 5 times in a row in a set. I think Sinner wins comfortably. If you want my score here, I think I will go with the 6-3, 6-4 type of angle. So I guess technically that's Outmain plus the games. In reality, I think that he goes under the team total. I think that Sinner wins, and I think he goes under his team total as well. But I'm not going to make an argument for Outmain. I get it's a fun story. I get you want to root for him. Not to mention all of the Sinner, I'd say, hatred that he gets for the steroid stuff. If you're going to root against Sinner, you can for the Cinderella story. I think it ends here. I think if he was facing off against another guy, a top, like, for example, if he was against, trying to think of a comparison here. If he was against maybe even like Zverev or Alcaraz, you make an argument maybe one of them would have a no-show for a set. Sinner doesn't no-show sets. He just shows up and buries you. Like, Alcaraz dropped a set to DeZumer. Like, that's what I'm talking about. You're looking at a potential let-up spot where maybe the big favorite no-shows 20 minutes and Outmain sneaks his way into a set. That is not going to happen, as far as I'm concerned. Give me Sinner dominating. I think he wins comfortably. So give me the team total under for Sinner, and give me the pretty straightforward win for him in this one. Moving on to what should be the matchup of the day. You have Alcaraz against Zverev. Alcaraz at minus 200. You have Zverev at around plus 170. For the spread, minus 2.5 for Alcaraz, plus 2.5, around plus 105, give or take, for Zverev. For the over-under, I see between 23.5 and 22.5 to shop around, depending on if you like the over or the under. For the set spread, you have Alcaraz in straight sets at around plus 136. Zverev to win each sets minus 175. The over 2.5 sets is around plus 130. For team totals, I see Alcaraz at around 13, minus 105 on the over, the under is minus 125. For Zverev, the 12 flat number, over is minus 125, the under is minus 105. Now, historically speaking, Zverev's been good against Alcaraz. At the head-to-head, they are actually pretty neck and neck. They're basically 5-5. So you're looking at what has been a very, very tough matchup to predict based on the history. Now, for the hardcourt meetings, Zverev's been good. Better than you think against Alcaraz. Now, they faced off in the ATP Finals last year. Zverev won in straight sets. Faced off in Indian Wells last year. Alcaraz dominated. Australian Open last year. Zverev won in 4. Should have been in 3. He actually choked away the third set, 1-4. Faced off in the ATP Finals again, 2023. And Zverev won in 3. So if you actually do the math, Zverev has won 3 of the last 4 meetings against Alcaraz on hardcourt. So he's actually done well. Now, he's also been playing well in the event after roasting him on the show for being way too passive in Toronto. He's finally being more aggressive. So based on that, I do like the fact that Sinner took some of the notes that he had to heart, which was, you can't keep sitting behind the baseline doing nothing. You got to at least try to create some winning opportunities, some winners down the line, etc. Be creative with your shot selection. And it's worked, because he's not dropped a set yet. He's been coasting for the most part. Now, he beat Shelton handily. Shelton might have been out of gas. Still a good win either way in straight sets, off a guy who just won a 1,000 title. But he beat Kashanov in a set and a retirement. Nakashima is a good server. He won that one in straight sets. Vasilevsky, he won in straight sets as well. He's been good. Alcaraz, though, has been up and down. Beat Rublev in 3. I wouldn't say he played that well. I thought it was a good match in general based on entertainment. But Alcaraz left the door open, got broken while serving for the match, ended up surviving. But still, that was a dicey match which he got through. Nardi, who I think is really not very good. Medjedovic, who I think is a pretty entertaining player with the firepower. He kind of ran out of gas there and was running on fumes at the end there in the second set, but he still won that in straight sets, Alcaraz did. And DeZumer, he dropped the set in, which was kind of weird. So I think Alcaraz, at the end of the day, we know has not really been a dominant player on fast, hard courts. The fact is, the ATP Finals have been pretty fast as well, and Zverev beat him there in 2 straight years. So I think that Zverev's actually quite alive to win this. Now, Alcaraz, we do have the outright on at 270. So we're selfishly rooting for him to win. So we get the auto winner, like the Wimbledon tournament, where we get Sinner and Alcaraz in the final, and we have both, and we automatically win. That's what we want. Do I think Alcaraz should be minus 200? Honestly, kind of disrespectful. I think that Zverev's played well enough in the head-to-head and in the event to be a cheaper price, in my opinion. 170 feels massive to me. I think Alcaraz should be around 140, give or take, 145. I'd have Zverev at around plus 125, plus 130 maybe. 170 feels egregious. We know Rublev has been pretty up and down this season. We know that he's a head case, but we do know that on hard courts, Rublev can be dangerous. And Alcaraz almost lost to him. Zverev has been playing pretty well. I know he lost to Khachanov in that breaker in the semis in Cincinnati, but still, in Toronto, but he's still a good hard court player. He's been good against Alcaraz in the head-to-head, and I feel like this whole line is disrespectful when you factor in Zverev winning 3 of the last 4 meetings on hard court. So based on that, I think Alcaraz wins, but I think it's very close. I think it's a 3-set marathon. I think it might come down to the wire. Maybe you end up seeing Sinner against Zverev in the final. It wouldn't shock me. But I do think Alcaraz, in a big point situation, I'm obviously going to trust him more than Zverev, just based on the mental toughness angle. Now, I do think Zverev can find himself in a final set breaker maybe, and he loses. Maybe he's ahead, a break, chokes it away. Wouldn't shock me either way. The point is, I do think Alcaraz will find a way to win, but at this price, I cannot recommend him. I think minus 200 is disrespectful to Zverev, and I do think there's no value on that for Alcaraz. So for me, give me Zverev plus the actual games here at around 2.5 at plus money. Don't mind the team total maybe. If you want to go for the Caesars play, which is the team total parlay for both guys, I don't mind that either, because you can find potentially a very nice plus money play, basically a way of getting a 3-set marathon while cutting into the potential juice that you'd be, or not really cutting into because it's plus money, but getting a better return on your investment. Now, Caesars doesn't have it posted yet, but keep an eye out for that. Maybe the Alcaraz and Zverev team total over same game parlay on Caesars. Could be a good angle as well, but I think that there's value on Zverev for this price. That's where I'm at for this one. Anyway, it's going to wrap it up for the semis. Time to move on into the Lock and Dog picks. Before we get into the Lock and Dog, reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Circa Million, Circa Survivor. Coincidentally, I'm recording in the room right now. As you can see, the slot machine there on the wall as the actual room decor. Point is, though, greatest sportsbook in the world. They're having 3 big football contests coming up for the NFL season, which you can still sign up for. It's Circa Million, Circa Survivor, and Circa Rendissimo. Over $20 million guaranteed prizes. You can knock cards off for 2D if you're not competing in the contest. You're getting out SGPN next week at Circa for contest weekend. I will not be there. I jumped the gun. Apologies, but still. Check out, once again, Circa Contest Weekend for an amazing weekend of live shows, open bars, plus you get 50% for stay at Circa with the code SGP15. And a reminder, contest open to everyone. Sign up in Nevada, play for number with our proxy service. So check out the footballcontest.com platform. Use the code SGP to get $50 off your proxy fees. We're also about to buy Underdog Fantasy because they're doing Best Mania happening all summer long. 15 million prizes, 2 minutes first place. No waiver wire, no argument about trades. Best players will play fantasy football. You can also use them for pick'em entries. If you want to do tennis, they have a lot of options there. It breaks a serve. They have fantasy score. Lots of options for Underdog if you want to use tennis there. You can also win 500 times your entry. When you sign up, though, for your new account, use the new offer Underdog has. Play just $5. Get $50 in bonus funds when you sign up with the code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast, which is going through the semis in Cincinnati. Time to move on into the Lock and Dog picks. So, for the actual Lock and Dog, I'm going to be pretty straightforward with the lock. It's a minus 2,000 favorite. He's the best player in the world. He's an all-time great hardcourt player. His resume is not up there yet, but he's going to be. Sinner's a madman. Give me the team total under. Minus 129? Really? For a minus 2,000 moneyline favorite, him to win convincingly is minus 129? Sure, I'll take that. I like the price. Sinner is a massive favorite, as he should be. Altman's been playing very well. He's beating good players with Fritz and with Rune. 2 guys who we know can be pretty mentally weak at times. Rune kind of rolled over in the second set. Fritz was, once again, not playing exactly the best, but still, nice win for Altman in general. Point is, though, him to not break Sinner's serve at any point in the match on Bet365, minus 175. If he is not going to break a single time, he's getting his ass kicked in this match. Simply put, I think that Sinner's, as a returner, is too good. Felix held serve 1 time in the entire match in the quarters, and he's a good server. He might be a head case, but can still hit some big serves. Sinner, though, is the best hardcore player in the world. Hasn't dropped a set yet. Had his best match of the event against Felix in the last round. I think the price is too good. I saw 145 at some spots, though. Bet Rivers at 129. Conceptually, a minus 2,000 favorite who's an elite returner to beat a qualifier handily Once again, like a 6-3, 6-4 standard outcome. The team totals at minus 129 on the under. Sure. I got to take that. The price is too good. For the value, give me Sinner team total under 12.5 as my lock at minus 129. I get Opmain's been great. I get it's a fun story. Sinner. I got to recognize, we talk about it all the time. Sinner and Alcaraz are up here. Everybody else is kind of down here. And then you throw in the guys ranked in the hundreds down there. It's a different sport playing against Sinner. I think Opmain gets torched. So give me Sinner team total under 12.5 as my lock for the show. For the dog, give me the games on Zverev. Give me the Zverev plus 2.5 at plus 105. Moneyline's interesting. I don't trust him enough. I like the price, though, for value. But Alcaraz has not been dominant. He has dropped a set in 2 of his first 4 matches, dropped a set to Rublev in the quarters, dropped a set to Zoomer in the first round. Zverev, though, has been coasting, has not dropped a set yet, and you're looking at Zverev being 3-1 in the head-to-head on hardcore in the last 4 meetings. He's been giving Alcaraz problems in the past, and Alcaraz has been ramping up the aggression under the tutelage of Nadal. You're looking at, I think, a pretty good spot for Zverev to make this match competitive, and if he loses in classic Zverev heartbreaking fashion, that's fine. We know Alcaraz can get buried in one set. Zverev maybe wins a set 6-2, and Alcaraz wins the match, and he doesn't cover the spread. There's a couple ways to get there, but I do like the actual games for Zverev for the plus money. I see Real asking where he can find the plays. So the book, I think you're talking to me. For Sinner, the team total under was on Bet Rivers. For the Zverev play, I believe that was DraftKings at plus 105 for the spread there. And I see Tim mentioning Betfred, which I believe is a UK book. Yes, as he's mentioning there. So once again, you can find that he was mentioning the Paolini number against Kudermetova. But still, a point is, once again, shop your lines, the main piece of advice there. For example, BetOnline does have Zverev plus 2.5 at minus 107. DraftKings is plus 105. So shop your lines, find the best price, even if you're in the UK or the US. Whatever you're looking for, don't forget to take the extra couple of minutes to find the best price that you possibly can. Anyway, once again, for the lock and dog for the semis, Cincinnati, lock's going to be on Sinner. Team total under 12.5 at minus 129. That's on Bet Rivers. For the dog, give me Zverev plus 2.5 games at plus 105. That's on DraftKings. Going to wrap it up for the show. Back once again for the final in Cincy. Apologies once again, I've not been around too much. I've been traveling. The North American tennis schedule is also frustrating. A lot of late matches. The lines get posted around 4 in the morning. It's a pain in the ass. I know that on the East Coast right now, it is 2 a.m., so hopefully, once again, we get an early posting of the lines for the final. We should. The matches aren't that late on Saturday. So still, once again, check out the show tomorrow. Till next time, good luck to all.